Hello, you all. I want to talk to you today about what happened after July 15th when I heard that I had cancer and the education and the prep that I did to prepare myself for the next stage. And these are the things that most likely saved my life. Now, if you've not listened to the video before, it talks about everything that was going on in 2015, and I talked in detail about the day. Just watch the video that is before. But today I want to talk about the things that I did to prep myself for what was coming. Now, before I get into that, I just want to say welcome to the channel. If you are someone who watches the channel on a regular basis, welcome back. And if you've not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And if you are new to the channel, I want to welcome you. This channel is about pursuing life with me in my after cancer journey. And I just invite you in because I talk about everything that has to do with pursuing life. And I invite you also to go ahead and subscribe. You know, you all don't just subscribe, but I ask that you also like and comment because that helps the algorithm know that this is valuable information and that you all value it. Now back to what I want to talk about. Okay, after I found out I had cancer, I started doing some research. And I didn't just do research talking to people that had gone through cancer. I wanted to talk about to people who had survived and thrived for years after cancer. And I had two of them in my family. I have an uncle who had a really, a type of cancer that is not, it's rare, it's colon cancer, but it has like a 90-some% chance of coming back. And a lot of people do not survive it. It has a very low survival rate. Yet here he is, I think almost 20 years later, maybe more than that at this point because I've been in this journey for 10 years. So he is still thriving and he's taught other people how to do it. So I talked to him. And then I also have a cousin, she's an older cousin, and she was first diagnosed with breast cancer, but she has had cancer come back at least 3 times in her life. And she is still alive. She is in her 80s, you all. And she's still alive. So I talked to her. I didn't just do research in the United States. I did research all over the world. I started looking at who was doing this well, who was beating these things, and what did they do. And so then I also considered, because there's over 200 types of cancer, you all, so I had to consider what I was dealing with. Now, just give you a little background of what I was dealing with. When we found the breast cancer tumors, we also found ovarian tumors. Now, ovarian tumors, if you look them up, most times turn into cancer. And we didn't realize I had as many as I had until we did the surgery. But they knew that the cancer I had was a progesterone and estrogen type cancer, and it was invasive. So we needed to go ahead and do the surgery to remove what was causing progesterone and estrogen in my body, and those were my female organs. So I had a total complete hysterectomy, including the ovaries, before, and when, that was the thing that they did before they even got to the cancer, and they removed all of the tumors. Because if you cut off what is feeding the cancer, you have a better chance of surviving and getting all of it. So they were going that route, and there were doctors. There was a doctor's team. Excuse me, y'all. I just got bit by an ant. But there was a doctor's team, team of doctors that they got together, and they talked about the plan of action that they were going to go, because we had one plan of action. And once everybody, and the team included the OBGYN, my OBGYN, she was going to do the surgery to do all of those things, the oncologist that I had, the surgeon, and I think someone else that helped them decide, you know, really see what we needed to do. So they changed my plan of action a couple of times, and we had plan of action. So while I was waiting, I still had life going on. And I started doing my research. Now, if you read, well, at that time, I read that sugar feeds cancer. Well, doing more research in biology, I read that sugar feeds all cells. And that's not the only thing that cells feed off of. Well, cancer is a type of renegade cell. And so I knew that sugar was not good. And they said, if you talk to your doctors and ask them, they will say that's not proven. However, biologically, it makes sense because sugar also increases inflammation, and inflammation creates a perfect environment for bad things to grow. So one of the first things I did was start to cut sugar out. And I didn't do it drastically. I took my time. Over the course of a month and a half, I slowly started cutting it out. And the only kind of sugar that I would allow into my system was sugar that was natural, and I didn't do a lot of it, and fruits and vegetables and things like that, because they have sugar. Well, fruits have sugar. And so I was very careful on my intake to make sure my body was given a chance to fight once we started doing everything we needed to do. And another thing that I did was I did research. I knew I had ovarian tumors. I knew that I had the type of breast cancer I did. So I looked up what fed those cancers, and I did lots of research. And two of the things that I saw I needed to cut out was beef and pork. And you all, I did not eat beef and pork for like 6 years after my treatments. And I really cut them out. I was like, no, we're going to give my body a chance. The next thing I did is I increased my vitamin C, because vitamin C feeds your cells, your good cells. So I increased my vitamin C and my other immune boosters. Vitamin D3, they had done testing on my blood work. It was down to 0. And vitamin D is great for your immunity, which makes sense because your body is made to fight. It is made to get rid of things. So if the thing that you need that helps your body fight is down to 0, that was the first thing that they did. They increased my vitamin D content to 50,000 units to help my body. And other immune boosters. I talked to nutritionists, I talked to doctors, I talked to pharmacists, and I found out, because I was already doing immune boosters, they told me how much at the max I could take without making myself sick, so I did that. The next thing I did, you all, is I stayed active. I continued to move around because I knew that an active body that moved around had a better chance. And it also kept me from being depressed, to just sit down and just wallow in that. No, I'm like, no, I'm going to stay active, and while I'm doing this research and while I'm still doing the stuff I need to do in my life. And then I also made my social circle smaller, you all. That is very important, because hearing too many people knowing things gives you too many opinions, and a lot of the opinions that they say are just hearsay, and they're things that they would never do. And I've noticed that about people. They're really big on telling you what to do in a life and threat situation, but they're very rarely going to do it. And that's not me being angry at people. That's just me being watching people for years and years. And so I made my social circle small. There were 3 people at my church I told that were not close friends. There were only a couple of family members I told, and they knew, do not tell anybody. And the reason I made my social circle smaller is because I needed time to do my own research. I needed time to talk to my doctors without anybody else's words. I needed time to grieve what I knew I was about to go through and what it might do, because I did research on how long it took to heal. And I found out that it takes your body and your cells 10 to 12 years to heal from the treatments. And I also had to make some decisions, because I didn't just go in with what my doctor said. I did research on all the chemos. And when we went in, we made a decision together as to what I was going to do. And so I didn't need the extra noise. So, and another thing too, I did was I built myself up, you all. I knew that this was a hard thing. I didn't just stop doing life. I kept doing the things I love. I kept going to work. I kept being present for my children. And I just started laughing more. Dad jokes became my favorite. I would read a couple of dad jokes, when I would start thinking of crazy stuff or, what ifs. I would just laugh, make myself laugh. And that really helped. And the last thing that I did was I knew that once I started these treatments, I didn't need everyone having access to me. Even though I had made my social circle smaller, once people found out, I knew they were going to want to talk to me. But the thing I found out and the thing I was warned about was people are going to dump on you. Oh, my sister died of cancer, or this person died of cancer, because they're processing grief. But I am not the person. I'm not the person they need to process their grief with, the person who's about to face this stuff or is facing this stuff. So I created points of contact at church and amongst my friends. So people knew if you wanted to know what was going on in my journey, you contact these people. But I did open up my circle a little more, people that were, maybe not my closest friends, but were close to me, because there were people, women that I was developing. Of course, there's my kids, there was family members. I wanted them to be able to have access to me. And that's what I did. But those points of contact really helped me, you all. But these things, I believe, saved my life. Changing my diet. I mean, I not just took out the sugar, but I increased very, very good things. I ate very healthy. And I made sure that the environment, and I should have added this in here, this is a bonus. I made sure that my emotional state was good. My environment around me was good. I didn't allow craziness within my limits. And I was staying by myself, which was very, very helpful, because I could just spend that time building me up and preparing. And even when I went through treatments, I was, in a house by myself, which was very good for me. People came to visit, people came to help, but I made sure my environment was was not stressful, was peaceful, and that really helped me heal well. Well, you all, that's all I have for today. I ask, like I said, please like, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, remember to have courage in adversity, have courage in pain. You all, everything we do to move forward is not done in vain. And one of these days, I'm going to break that down and talk about why I wrote that, what that means to me. But it's something I say to myself on a regular basis. And I just want to encourage you all with that every time that I can remember to do it. Until next time, bye.